This is what I would call a defining moment in our country's effort to definitely end the era of state capture and to restore the integrity, and credibility, and the capability of our institutions, but more importantly, our government. But finally, we have arrived at this moment when Acting Chief Justice Zondo has now handed over the first part of the report. This occasion marks the beginning of the final phase of the Commission's work, which will culminate with the submission of the remaining parts of the report by the 28th of February 2022.
Let's take a more in-depth look into the story. Piers Pigou is the International Crisis Group's Senior Consultant for Southern Africa, and he's joining me now from Johannesburg. Piers, good to have you on this program. This state capture report, this commission of inquiry, it's 3 years worth of evidence, more than 300 witnesses called, and still we're only seeing part one of this report handed to the president today. What are we expecting to actually come out of it, especially just part one?
Well, as you correctly pointed out, this is only part one of a three-part report. The further parts will be submitted within the next weeks, the third one being by the end of February. So the Commission requested a further final extension so it could address this mammoth task of going through the material of actually almost 4 years of activity by the Commission. It was actually announced on the 9th of January 2017. So, we're actually close to the 4-year anniversary. This first part is dealing with some of the key work streams of the Commission. And it's important to point out that whilst the Commission dealt with all this evidence and all these witnesses, it certainly didn't cover state capture in its entirety. It looked at a particular set of work streams dealing with particular sectors of the economy. The electricity company, Eskom, the arms manufacturer, Denel, etc., etc. The 3 volumes that are included in part one that are presented today focus on African Airways and its associated companies, a paper that was functioning here owned by the Guptas called New Age. This is the family that is a part of the capture allegations. And then some reporting on the revenue service that and a number of other issues dealing with public procurement. Now, the report hasn't yet been made public to the media. That should happen in this first part in the next hour or so. So we can't say what the content is going to say, but it is an extremely symbolic moment today to see this first part handed over. And of course, we're now going to move into the next step of being able to read, digest the report, recommendations that come up to in February. And then, of course, we expect a slew of legal challenges and attempts to review the report itself. So we're some way from the end of this process, but this is a very significant step taking us to the next step.
Yeah, it really is a significant step because South Africans, and I speak as a South African myself, we're so used to seeing these commissions of inquiry. They continue for many years. They cost a lot of money that comes out of the public purse. And it does feel like a lot of South Africans are actually tired of it because the recommendations that come out, often nothing actually happens. No one is held accountable. From this report that is so important, are we likely to actually see action being taken?
I think there is a different set of circumstances out there with respect to the entities that can take these processes forward, and particularly those involved in the criminal justice system. The National Prosecuting Authority, whilst it still has a number of challenges, is in the process of being revamped itself. And I think it's going to be in a stronger position to take up some of the cases that will be recommended by the Zondo Commission for further criminal investigation. So I think that we're likely to see a commitment to the prioritization of that and of related resources by the National Prosecuting Authority. And I do think we've already seen that to a certain extent, although those processes have been incredibly slow. Of course, the level of evidence put in front of the Commission is not necessarily at the benchmark that would be required for a criminal prosecution. So we may indeed have further delays before we, significant delays before we actually see people being brought to book. And it will only be in a minority of cases. I think it's important for us to recognize that. But I do think another important aspect of this is that we're going to have a popular version of this report. And there's a real opportunity for a kind of a general public digestion of what this is all about. And importantly, how do we move forward, build our institutional integrity and rebuild trust with significant sectors of the population, the business community, international investors and so forth. But remember, this report is also a prism for the political fault lines in this country. So there's going to be tension and there's going to be a certain amount of contested space around this issue in the months and years ahead.
Yes, certainly is. The big question is how to move forward and finally bring some closure to all of this. Piers Pigou, live to us there from Johannesburg. Thank you so much.